center, to focus, to allow God to be present right now here, to allow ourselves to be present. So just clear your hands, close your eyes, feel your body in that chair, and then look up and see God. See Jesus right there. Just look in his eyes. Forget the details. We engage with you right now, with your spirit. Please help us pay attention, because your spirit is here and we are a part of it. It's in us, it's within our mind and our hearts. Help us engage. Help us learn and help us grow, so this study guides us closer to you, to understanding how to hear you better and how to connect to you more. Amen. Okay, so I was telling Josh, and it's so interesting, like God does that to me very often. He did this to me numerous times before when we were going through these studies of ours. So we've been doing this for like 4 weeks, technically. So we had 2 weeks, then we had a break in our VAD, and then last week we were back here to kind of wrap it up. So I'm... No, it's okay. No, it's okay. So this is what happens. I told you, like when we started this series, that it's been on my mind for a long time, and that it's long overdue, because I feel that this is the foundation for your spiritual connection. So we started getting it going, and those first 2 weeks, as we were talking about this, I was digging, I was kind of verbalizing, focusing, shaping. Personal life with the church, with my family, with everything. Everything was great. I was like, I would sit down into this prayer of presence, and I was like right there instantly, and it just permeates me. And it was like 15 minutes of it, like sets the tone for the whole day, and things just roll, like things just go, everything is fine. So then 2 weeks ago, an event happens. Again, kind of a silly thing. It's just like part of the administrative process that we go through with the church. And the only difference now was, usually for this process, we would have like a couple of months for a certain portion of work. And now it just happened that way, that we ended up getting a notice like a little bit more than 3 weeks before the due date. And we had, on top of it, what we usually do, there was another 30% of paperwork to kind of sort through and follow through. So, okay, damn it, it is what it is. Kind of let's get with it. But the process completely got me out of whack. Like completely tossed me out. And here's why. So we are studying this prayer of presence, and I'm reading about forming my thoughts, and I'm thinking about what am I going to share with you guys over here, while God is taking me on an experiential part of it, and I utterly keep failing to be present. First, I was like, it was first frustration with the future, because, I mean, we had certain things that we planned to do, the plans that we had to cancel, things that we had to change in this past 2 weeks because of this, because all of the focus had to be put on it to get it finished and get it done. And I am like, now 2 weeks ago, I'm there, and I'm not focused on here. I'm focused on, like, this is going to get screwed up. Those plans are going to get screwed up. We're supposed to blah, blah, and so on. So I'm here, but I'm actually over there. Frustrated because the things are not going to happen the way I want it to happen. Then I am, again, there, and I'm going back to the past. Like, okay, this is not the first time that this is happening. We never addressed the issue. And it's because of this happened and that happened. And again, I am now frustrated with the past because I, to an extent, allowed the past mistakes to repeat because I didn't deal with the things from the past when there was a time. And kind of days are passing by, and then and I was just telling Josh that I realized that actually this week, another thing that was really, that I was really in resistance with was this. So instead of being present in everything that we talked about, I am not present in what I'm doing, but I am present in how I wish things were. So like, this is, and this is the thought. This is not how things are supposed to be done. This is not fair. This is not right. I am being taken advantage of. Blah, 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 and so on. And the bottom line was, like, I was there, I'm doing the work, and I'm supposed to, like, if I was only focused, just as I was focused on my life a week ago, this would have gone so much easier. It would have gone with so much grace. Well, okay, let's do the job. Let's fine, it's okay. Plans change for the future all the time. Past, blah, blah. I could have let it go, but I did not want to let it go. That was my realization, maybe like 10 days in. So let's say Tuesday or Wednesday, it dawned on me. Did not want to let go of how the future is supposed to be, how the present is right now, and how the past screwed it all up. And that is all I've been trying to teach you guys over here. And God was like, okay, enough BSing. It's time for you to put your money where your mouth is, or whatever the expression is. So, what I would like us to talk about today, as we go through this over here, as we go through the recap of this whole prayer of presence, I want to hear from you, as you guys were practicing this, as you guys were trying this in your lives. I want to more hear, not about your failures, not because I want to feel better, because I know I'm not the only one that fails, but because I feel that I did not have support these last 10 days, these last 2 weeks, as I was wrestling to get myself back into this present time. And it was increasingly difficult every day to deal with it, and I wish I had somebody who would have witnessed what I'm going through and tell me, hey, this and that. Jasmina was there, but she was also busy with it. She was even busier than I have. And then we didn't talk much. Literally, we would spend 45 minutes for lunch together out of a whole day. And then the evening comes and we were like, let's just kind of, like, evening comes and both of us are gone already. Kind of, we were there, but we were already. So, I would like to talk about your difficulties through this, because I would really like to be for you what I didn't have in these 2 past weeks. Because I believe that if you guys start practicing these concepts, it's going to really get you closer to yourself, to deepening understanding of your light side, of your dark side, of the side that is connected to God, and on the side that you are yet to connect with Him. If you go through this process, if you kind of weave it through your daily spiritual experience. So let's start with the whole idea of that prayer of presence. The first one, go ahead, whatever is, yeah. So the story of 1 Kings was, so Elijah is over there and he thinks that there is kind of God abandoned him. That was almost the sense that he's leaving. And God tells him, first, I didn't abandon you. I'm right here with you. Second thing, there are 7,000 more people in this country who are on your side. You're not by yourself, but this is the deal. I'm going to walk by and show myself. You guys remember the story. So the earthquake, the hurricane, the fire storm, like all of these things pass by and they're gigantic and they're loud and they're destructive and they're like insane, and God is in none of them. And then everything subsides, complete silence. And then Elijah hears the voice of God clearly. That voice of God was present there all the time. He just couldn't hear it. He couldn't hear it because he was focused on all of these grandiose things happening around. So, what are the things in your life that are preventing you from hearing the voice of God? Everything. That is disturbing. Okay, job. Let's start with the job. That is the least painful. How is job distracting?
Get ready, and all you're thinking about is like, oh, I gotta get to work on time. I gotta pick up certain people on time. And you're planning your whole day around your job, you know, and you're planning like, and then while you're working, you're just like, all right, how do I handle this client? How do I handle that client? What's gonna happen today? You know,
Okay.
what will happen later? You know, my, you know, paperwork and things like that.
So in that sense, it seems like the best time of your day is so preoccupying with work that the time when you're the most able, the most sane, the most of sound mind is the time that God doesn't get.
Yeah.
Okay. How about the rest of you? How do you feel about your jobs? Do you feel that they're distracting as well in that sense? Not really? Why?
I just don't think about it. Like when I work, I just go to work and do what I gotta do and go home. I just don't think about like really the process of it. My job's very different than his.
Okay.
So I just go in. I mean, I know what I have to do. I make a list. I do it, and then I just don't think too much into it.
But while you're at work, like for example, do you have like a prayer time while you're at work? Do you?
No, I could, but I don't.
Okay.
But I could. I can.
Okay.
Realistically, I can do whatever I want to do.
That's a good job.
But I do
That is
not.
a very good job.
But I don't. I mean, I don't take advantage of that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like for him, like he couldn't do like, you know, he has no quiet in the day.
Okay.
My whole day is pretty much quiet.
Okay.
For the most part.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
like I could, but I don't.
Okay. So let me ask you this as well about your job. Do you find it distracting? And then I want to ask you guys something else.
For me, it's kind of like Jason too. Like I know what I have to do because I work for my dad. So it's like I know what I have to do. I have the freedom to do it when it needs to get done. So I have time, and I do make time in the morning to pray and spend time with God. So I feel like I have been hearing Him a lot. I think more my problem is that I worry a lot about future things, like stuff that just hasn't happened. Like where am I going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is it going to look like? Am I on the right career track? Do I need to do something else? It's like more of that.
Sounds
Or
like
some-
middle-age crisis hitting a decade early.
Oh yeah, the red crisis. So it's yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of that.
Okay, so here's the question. How do you compartmentalize your spirituality? Because it sounds like you go to work, do your job, and that's part of your life. That is just part of your life. I mean, actually, for all of you, it seems like, okay, but do you, is your spiritual experience kind of permeating through through other aspects of your life? I can see you raising your son, where the spirituality is very important. I can see two of you guys, to your marriage and your plans also being permeated by the spiritual aspect of your lives. But do you compartmentalize it when it comes to professional? Like when it comes to this element of your job?
What do you mean like compartmentalize?
So, Dickie, pretty much, you said like, okay, I have to focus on the job. Pick this up, do this up, schedule this and that, blah, 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 blah. I don't even have time to think about anything else. Okay, you're not bothered by it, but still, this is you have an opportunity to incorporate spiritual aspect in it, but you just don't. It's kind of job time, you know? You know what you have to do, you know? Is spirituality, is your connection with God involved into all of the aspects of your life, or it's compartmentalized? That's what I meant.
No, I think mine is, but only as of like recently, not in the years past. Like
Okay.
I feel like more of this year, a little starting kind of last year into this year, I have been incorporating more like sometimes during the day if I'm feeling very overwhelmed, I will slow down and pray. Sometimes I listen to podcasts and it's like a pastor preaching, or maybe it's like Christian music. So I do try to incorporate it, but because I have noticed it is helping me.
Okay, all right, okay.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I think I compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize. It's a word, and I started using this.
I know what it means, but I can't say it.
I started using this word lately because it's cool. I really
Yeah,
like
it
it.
is cool.
And then I get a little. I have an excuse. It's my second language.
I can pronounce a lot of words, actually.
But like, okay,
I
so
do think I compartmentalize it just because I feel like on Saturdays or Sundays sometimes for me, like that's the time for church, and I automatically know that. Just like for work, it's Monday through Friday for me from like 9 to 4 or whatever time. Like I kind of categorize it like that. Or at night, I'll be like, okay, like usually I'll pray before bed, but then like when we're up in the mountains, like if we're on a hike, I mean this might be bad, but I don't really think about too much of like, oh, like we can listen to Christian music, or we can pray, or we can talk about it. Like
it's not on your mind.
yeah.
I mean, we've been listening to a lot of Christian music, though.
Yeah, we
Christian
do
rap.
in the car. We do in the car, but I'm not like
It's not. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, for me, like, throughout my day of working, like, God does pass my mind at times, you know? It's like, what's up, God? You know, like, or just like, hey, like, remember to go to church, or remember to do this, you know? Or like, oh, God, like, this happens. Or like, how, like, especially when it comes to future too, like, I'm like, God, where am I going with this? Like, how can I be good? Like, how can I enjoy life more, like, lead me, figure me out, because I don't want to, like, I want to be able to buy all the toys I want, things like that, or I don't know, like, those kind of things. I'm an overthinker, so I overthink everything, like, like, smallest thing,
Right.
yeah.
The concept of presence, especially here with Elijah, the idea is that when you read the overarching idea of the whole story, what Elijah is going through from the top of the hill all the way to the rock bottom and then back, the idea is that God was present all the time with him through thick and thin. And God showed him that presence all on that path from top to bottom, back to top. God was showing him his presence. It wasn't that God wasn't present, it was that Elijah wasn't present. And his experience of rock bottom would have never happened if he was just more aware of God's presence in his life rather than looking for external. He got focused on external situation. He got focused, like after the major victory that God accomplished for him, he gets focused on a political situation. He gets focused on how it seemed that the reality was turning real bad, and he gets super discouraged because he doesn't hear the voice of God anymore. The voice of his enemies and his problems become louder, and he follows that voice, and he ends up running away. He ends up leaving everything. He ends up abandoning everyone and hides in a cave. And then God comes back to him with that quiet voice. Like, dude, you better listen to me. But he didn't listen because he was not paying attention. The idea, for me at least, my experience from this last week was this. If I was just keeping my attention on God's presence, if I was just reminding myself that none of these things really matter, that these things are just stepping stones toward my personal growth and me shedding my past drama and so on, I would have pretty nice last 2 weeks. But they sucked really bad. I'm telling you, like literally to the point where I would try to sit down and pray, and like that hurricane of thoughts is like back. And I'm like, stop it, shut up, go away. Like I can't get myself back into control. It really took a lot of effort. Why? Because I allowed myself to compartmentalize God. God was part of my spiritual practices, part of my prayers, part of my devotionals, part of my presence, and so on. But then when we engaged into this administrative ordeal, I allowed myself to kind of put him aside. And it caused havoc. I was the one who caused havoc, not him. He was there. I just didn't pay attention to him. So, at least my idea is this. Like, first lesson that I would challenge you guys to start practicing is this. Now I'm making this word even harder. Decompartmentalize God. Like, keep other things however you want it, but let him out of the box, out of this like Saturday, Sunday spiritual box. I'm going to church. No, let him enter your work space. Bring him in. I mean, invite him in. Take the time for a prayer. Like that's so silly. Like I told you that I had those reminders, like for every hour, kind of to stop, 2 minutes. I just ignored them. And now looking back, like I know I caused my issues, you know. So challenge for you, number one in this recap, is bring him in intentionally and deliberately in areas of your life that he's absent from. Not absent, where he is not noticed. So either with reminders or whatever, or take a minute or whatever, but recall him. And the coolest thing that my experience is, no matter how hard the day at job was, at the end you realize it wasn't that bad actually. It actually didn't annoy me that much. I was actually not that tired. The people who usually frustrate me were entertaining me today. You know, and stuff like that. No, seriously, it really works that way. Like God's presence builds this positivity in life, and also builds this like protection around you, around your mind, where you're not as affected anymore, especially in a negative manner, you know, by the circumstances that used to kind of drive you nuts. Make sense? The second thing over here is, again, in order to kind of hear, don't be distracted. You see? Now we're practicing. Okay, he's asleep. Uh, when, how do you learn? We talked about this a little bit. Let's just kind of rework. When you want to learn something, what is your favorite way of learning new thing? Visual, like YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to do it like with myself.
So hands-on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If I watch someone do something, I'll have to like physically do it or like physically write it down to like be able to comprehend it.
Okay. Do you guys read?
Yeah.
How big is reading? How big part of the learning process is reading compared to visual or hands-on? Okay, let's put it this way. When you want to read something in order to learn, at what page it becomes too much? 5th, 15th, 55th.
Depends on the subject,
Okay.
because there's some that is more dense, you know.
Uh huh.
There's some that's not as dense, so you can kind of read it better. But I'm like Chaselin. Like I can read something and it's fascinating, but I'm gonna have to take notes or write it down in order for it to like kind of stick better, and then also share it with someone else.
All right. Oh, okay.
Then it'll really
Sharing is a
help
good
me.
way of learning. Yeah. You actually do it in practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the concept over here that Job has, he says, like, I'll be silent so you can teach me. And how do you, visual or hands-on or sharing, how do you incorporate your spiritual learning through that? How does your spiritual learning look like through your favorite means of learning? You learn something new about God, or you want to expand on a prayer of presence, or you want to figure out how to have a better connection that is going to bring you more joy or whatever. But how do you spiritually learn?
I talk about it sometimes with like close friends or family members.
That sounds like sharing.
Yeah,
Okay.
sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
that's exactly what it is.
I feel like for me it's like trial and error. Like I kind of have to like, if I'm not used to doing something, I just have to like consciously make a decision every day to like if I'm gonna incorporate God into work, I have to consciously at first like really think about it, practice it, do it over and over until like it becomes more of a natural
Organic
thing that I'm
part of
not so like consciously, like subconsciously I'm thinking about it, but not like I don't have to
It
like.
just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. How about the visual? How do you visually?
I mean, I feel like going back to my 20s when I was like a youth leader, like then and now, like I was very hands-on with the youth, and I was very hands-on with everybody, and you know, I was very involved, and I feel like that is what like I felt I was present. I felt the power of God. I felt like I was untouchable, not like you know like that, but like with God by my side, like He's always watching over me. And then with that too, like I was able to bring Him to work. I was able to bring Him to my everyday life, you know. And then even hiking in general, like we would go hiking, and then I would pray for the weather, and then like those things are.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and then the little like clear area would like follow us, and
That's so crazy.
it's wild, you know. And then like I saw a lot of miracle, and I felt present in His, you know, with Him, and like I felt like I was there, and I want that again, you know. And I'm still searching for that, but it's like it's hard because like I don't know. I think maybe like my problem is like I'm not as involved, you know, and I'm not doing a lot of His work. I don't know. Maybe for me it's like the presence of people, groups.
Okay.
That's what like really like helps me push towards Him. But when I'm doing it myself, I have a problem with that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so on the that everything we talked about over here, as you guys noticed, like every single lesson that we talked about in the last month, is very personal and internal. The concept of presence, yeah, it's amazing when we're present together, But the real concept of that you say being present is you being present within yourself. And your presence, God's presence and your presence entangled are within yourself. They're not tied to external elements. Because, for example, in the case that you're saying, you're a youth leader, you're fully immersed in it, and it boosted your spirituality to that, like, wow, amazingness. Then the circumstances changed, and with the circumstances, your spiritual experience changed as well, not for the better, but for the worse. So, in that case,
But that's the thing, like, because of that experience, because of what I've experienced, I will never, like, turn away from it.
Mhm.
I will always, like, I know what he's capable of, and I know that he's there. I know that, I know, like, I will never be like, oh, I don't believe in him.
No, I'm not even.
Yeah,
even
no,
yeah. My point was this. So the experience that you had as a youth leader was something that belonged to you,
Yeah.
and then it was gone because the circumstances changed. Now imagine if the experience of your spiritual connectedness was not tied to a group, was not tied to being a youth leader, was not tied to circumstances, but it was tied internally to your connection with God. At that point, the circumstances changed, but the experience remains. When circumstances change, when God leads us to change circumstances, He wants us to grow. At least that's my experience. Because same thing, like, Josh and I have a lot of talks over here while we set up stuff, and I tell him a lot of things that I realize I need to share with you guys as well. I had an amazing couple of months, let's say past 3-4 months were really amazing in that sense of flow. Like, things were really coming along amazingly. Everything was really, like, the doors were opening. Everything was making sense. And then the havoc breaks in because circumstances changed. And now, like, after 2 weeks of struggle, I realized, God wants me to grow. God wants me to grow out of these bad habits that I brought from my past, that I kind of wasn't even aware of until they swam out with these changed circumstances. And if the circumstances didn't change, this dark side would remain in me, hindering me later on in things that I need to do. So God is putting me in here. Okay, time for another. It's kind of like new level unlocked, Now it's time to break out of these things. And it freaking hurts. Like, it's so freaking hurts. So the idea that I'm trying to say is the whole experience of presence is tied exclusively between you and God, because that is the only untouchable connection that you have, because it fully depends exclusively on you being awake and God being here. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. Whether you're sitting here in the United States or you're sitting back in Indonesia, kicked out because your green card expired, circumstances do not determine your peace. They don't determine your joy. They don't determine your connection. They are just challenging growth if you are mindful enough to see where it's taking you. And this is not something that kind of like this happens. I'm telling you, like, I've been deeply immersed into studying this, and 2 weeks of my life were shattered because I wasn't paying attention. Because I was so stuck on, like, keeping some things the way they are, and so angry about how things are going to be and so on. So it's a work in progress of your internal presence, seeing, okay, you notice something within you, and instead of seeking for a reason outside, you seek for a reason within. Okay, this person just pissed me off. But it's not about them. It's about me. Okay, where is this coming from? And then you flush that out, that person will never ever be able to piss you off again, because you resolved it on the inside. The idea of Job and learning, that's why I asked you about learning. The idea of Job is, Job says, like, if I want to learn, if I want to upgrade my spirituality, and it seems that all of you want to upgrade your spirituality, you have to find this time of silence. Work is distracting. Take a 5-minute longer break. You know, lock yourself in the restroom for 5 minutes longer, whatever. I don't know how it works, you know. But kind of find the time, especially in areas of your life where God is not as involved, to dedicate specifically time for Him. Put the phone on the side, all of distractions on the side. Give Him more time throughout, especially in those moments where you feel that you need to grow. You know, your future. When thoughts of future come to mind, create a trigger. What's going to be in 3 years? Time for my minute presence with God. Jesus, I'm here right now. These thoughts are coming. Help me sort it out. And just listen, just be present. Be present in this moment here, not in 3 years from now, and so on. When God is present, you're present as well. And the more you're present, the more those miracles start happening again. You know? But it boils down to the idea of, if you want to grow your spirituality, you need to first grow your silence. Silence, as you said, and Chase, you're 100% right. Like, this doesn't happen without deliberation, without planning, and then without action. That's why I set reminders for myself. Otherwise I forget, like I just do stuff, call this and that. By the time I turn around, the whole morning has passed. I didn't sit down to have a decent prayer. And then okay, 10 o'clock, time for me to, and wherever I am, 2 minutes is not that hard to dedicate. I just use restroom once an hour sometimes for a different purpose. But the idea is, be deliberate about this silence of your mind, so you give God the opportunity to enter.
I have these roses at my mom's house that I've been like taking care of for like the past 4 years, and like I think last year I started getting a little comfy, like, oh yeah, my roses are like awesome, they're gonna do their thing this year, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I kind of like didn't pay as much attention to them this year as I did last year, because last year they were blooming and beautiful, and like, you know, even the neighbors were complimenting. In the beginning of this year, I was like, oh, they're coming out nice already. Like, I can just sit back and enjoy this year. So I wasn't as on it, like taking care of like the pests that come and attack them. I wasn't as good at watering them. I wasn't good at going, etc. Right? So then I go outside the other day and they're all like destroyed. They look bad. It's horrible. Like, these Japanese beetles have destroyed them. They're not big. They're really. And I'm just looking and I'm like, in what world did I think that I could just 1 year, like, they're perfect, and then not continue to put the work in? So I think, like, through that, it was crazy, because I felt like God was telling me, yeah, it's the same thing with any other area of your life. If you're not putting in the work, the consistency, it's not going to look as beautiful as it was the year before. So I feel like it's the same thing with this, like, what you're talking about, the presence and the prayer is like, and being intentional, like Jason was saying, like, if we're intentional about putting in the work to build that relationship with Him, it is going to happen. But the moment we stop, it's like the poor roses.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a good example. You want it again. How much time, how much thought were you putting in at a time, compared to how much thought and how much time you put into your spiritual right now?
I mean, I was 24/7 at the church, you know? That's the thing.
Do it again, but not at the church, but within yourself. Just start doing it again. Yeah, you're busy with work. You're at the traffic light. Perfect minute to kind of be present and kind of just look up and see God. How many traffic lights do you hit? Imagine those hundreds of moments of presence with God. And it starts awakening. And things like consistency, yeah, plays a big deal. You start doing this things start changing. Like it's natural. It's completely natural. It's law of spiritual engagement. You engage spiritually, oh, God is going to engage back tenfold. He's kind of like standing on tippy toes, waiting for you to engage. You know, the experience that you're lacking because you're lacking experience. You know? But if you start deliberately experiencing it again, the experience is coming back. Probably grander and more majestic because now you're older, now you're more experienced, now you see the world differently. You have under your belt already the spiritual experience of the presence of God. So the only way that you can go is up, higher, growing, but it boils down to how much time do you spend being silent before Him, present in His presence. Okay, questions, comments? We can move on. Lovely. Okay, let's go, please, to prayer for getting out of God's way. Now, you guys remember this story. I think we talked about this like 2 weeks ago. So Exodus 14, it's Moses takes people out of Egypt. All of those plagues are hitting and destroying and showing God's power, and Egypt is on its knees. And the Pharaoh is like, get the hell out of here. I don't want to see you ever again. So joyfully, they leave, they run, they leave, they take the stuff, they pretty much take everything with them. They're on the way, and Moses, instead of taking them through the desert to the promised land, God tells, no, you go south. It's south, I want to show you. So He takes them to the Red Sea coast. And they're on the coast of the Red Sea, and suddenly behind them, on the hills behind, they see the whole Pharaoh's army. You guys remember that story? And what do people start doing? Freaking out, crying, yelling at God, at Moses. Why did you take us here? Couldn't we have died in Egypt? Egypt was such a good place. We served the Egyptians. It was so much fun. And now we have to be killed. So they are crying. And what happens? Nothing. For as long as they're crying, nothing happens. Moses tells them, the Lord will fight for you, but you have to shut up. You have to be silent already. And then it's interesting, like the next verse over here. Actually, you have it. Did you open it?
Yeah.
Would you please read? So verse 15.
Yeah. It says, then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. And that's verse 15.
Exactly. So even God is like, shut up already. Like, get going. Come on, move. Like, God has a solution. He has it figured out. He already knows what's going to happen, of course, as He does in our lives as well. And then we are so distracted with crying about our destiny that God is like, okay, are you done?
Yeah.
Not yet. Okay, you have a few more days apparently. Okay, I'll wait. That's fine. But the thing is, I mean, I'm pretty sure that you experience that in your life. As long as you are standing before God with like, nothing happens. Really, nothing happens. Because nothing can happen. Because we are in the way with our attitude. Your mind, your consciousness, your attention to something is what draws God. It sounds wrong when I say that. It doesn't draw God out. But your attention opens the doors for God to be able to interact in your life. No matter how much He wants, He can't. Now, if we discuss the source of it. So where does the source of crying come from? Nagging to God. And what? Yeah, where does it come from? So I have a problem. Huh? Sadness. Huh? Okay, fear. Okay. Frustration. So things go sideways, and you were really hoping that they're gonna accomplish something, but everything falls apart. Expectations of God, expectations of yourself. When we get into that crying mode, how would you describe a mindset? Panic, yeah. Okay.
You're just not thinking straight. Usually if you're like, really upset, you're not thinking about like, if you're worried about something, you're just worried about that. You're not thinking like, oh, maybe it'll be okay. It's fine. You're not thinking that way.
There is a spin that we put onto every single situation in our lives. Think about it. Like, even a good situation, we can put a negative spin on it. What happened? I mean, you know the story. You know the story of my father-in-law. So he's taking treatments for leukemia right now. But here's the cool thing, actually, amazingly cool thing, how it actually came to the point for him even being diagnosed with leukemia, where they discovered it. He didn't know he had it. That was back in, so until January this year, apparently he's been dragging it for some time. Because now, kind of looking back at the symptoms, for probably about a year, it's been kind of developing. And it's been becoming more prominent. But they just didn't, they thought he's 72. So he's like, it's an old age, yeah, this and that. And like, he just embraced it, okay, it's part of life. And in January, he was doing some heavy lifting that he was not supposed to, that he kind of, not for his age. Long story short, he hurts his back. He's like, okay, it's going to get better. A couple of weeks pass by, it's just getting worse. It's becoming inflamed. He can't stand on his feet. He can't drive. He can't do anything. So, okay, and he has that attitude like, I have in my little finger more than all of these doctors know, so doctors are not going to tell me. So eventually, Jasmina's mom convinces him. They go to the doctors to get checked because it was really suffering, and it turns out that that one of his vertebrae cracked, and that's actually what was causing the pain, because the crack was like that. It was kind of pushing on the nerve on the inside of it. So the crack was not that bad, but the pain was immense because of that. So what they say, okay, so here's the deal. There is no surgery here. There is nothing that can be done. But you know what? We'll have to just do some, because this was a couple of weeks ago. We have to make sure, we have to run the tests to make sure that there was any kind of infection was created. Because if infection creates on a cracked vertebrae, you can literally get paralyzed. In a matter of weeks, you can get paralyzed. So they do that, just regular kind of checkup on that, and the results come back like, dude, you actually have leukemia. And that was February. I remember that because we talked, and at first they didn't want to tell us what's going on. And then the conversations pop out. And I mean, everybody was terrified for a moment because what they said is the kind of leukemia he had is like, if it's managed, it's fine. But if it's not managed, the doctor literally told him later on, he says, you know what, if you didn't crack your spine, probably by full time you would have been dead. They wouldn't have, and he says, like, you wouldn't even know nobody would know even what you died from. Your body would just get weaker, you would just get more tired. Eventually your digestive system kind of starts giving in, so you don't want to eat anymore, and everybody would just assume that your time has come. And no one would have ever ran a test to find out if, what did you die from. He simply died of old age. That's kind of the idea. So he has this accident that happens to him, and it's bad. It's tremendously bad, but it saved his life. And now everything that's happening as he's going through this chemotherapy, and as I told you that, I think I told you that last time, like they would take him to different, because it's an outpatient, so he would spend a day over there. They would take him to different rooms to talk to other patients to kind of boost their morale, and encourage everybody. And he says, like, doctors and nurses come for a few minutes to talk to him, just to kind of, he says, like, he's so positive about it. He's so right now. But at the time, when he was in pain because of a cracked vertebrae, he was pissed. Jasmina's mom was suffering. Jasmina was mad-ish, like, why were you even doing that kind of stuff? Like, you know that you're a stubborn old man. Why are you even messing with it? And so on, you know. We told them they need anything done. We're going to pay somebody. We're going to make sure, you know, but don't do it yourself. But he had to do it and stuff like that. If he didn't, he might have been on a deathbed by now. The reason I'm sharing this story over here, in account of that, don't be in God's way when things go sideways, when you don't know what to do, when it seems that it's bad, when it seems that it's going to get even worse. The way that you get in God's way is by focusing on the problem and then crying about it, instead of focusing on what you know about God. You know that He has a solution. You know that everything that goes in your life is part of a plan that is taking you to grow and to serve and to be a force in this life, not just a spectator that lives for themselves. Very often it's a mystery, like why are these things happening in my life right now? But it's not really important to have the answer of what's going to happen in the future, but to have the answer right now. Okay, how am I going to benefit from this situation? I'll be silent and get out of God's way. If I need someone to fight for me, if I need God to fight for me, okay, I'm not going to cry about it anymore. You have a solution, guide me to a solution. I need to make a decision. I need to make a choice. Help me make a right choice. Show me. And He does. But only after you stop paying attention to the problem and start looking outwards, wondering how is God going to show you what the answer is. That's where I was a week ago, because it was increasingly frustrating, and God showed me in a peculiar way that my problem is actually, again, stemming from my past, where I tend to be spiteful when I feel that there is an injustice being done to anyone, me or anybody else. I tend to be spiteful. And I actually saw that as a kind of positive trait of character. Like, you know? And God actually showed me, no, that is actually what is keeping you down. Until you stop your spitefulness, you're never going to actually grow into a person that you need to be to accomplish things that are waiting for you in the future. And frankly, I'm still, this is going to take time to work on. This morning, I was spiteful. But, something else, something completely. But I caught myself right away. Like, okay, here it comes again. Okay, no. And then I let it go, you know? But these are the things. This is how things work with God. Once you get out of His way, He's going to start tossing things left and right at you. Like, here's this, try this. So many things. Just as His people, they were right there at the grandiose exit of their trouble, but all they saw was a sea. All they saw was that ocean waves, and that's it. They didn't see a solution in it. Quite the contrary. They saw it an obstacle. But it turned out to be a solution with a little bit of touch of magic of God's Spirit. All you need is to look at your problem and wonder, okay, how can this become a grandiose solution with a little bit of touch of God's magic? That's what means getting out of His way. Stop impeding the Spirit with being focused on the problem. Makes sense? How can you guys do that? Now tell me, like, as we contemplate on the practical implications of it, how can you do this?
Stop complaining. Stop trying to take control. You know.
You're on the way to pick up clients, you picked up half of them and you get a flat tire. You try to take down the spare and the spare is flat as well. Tell me, what develops in your mind?
Everything. Screw my life, screw this. I hate this job. Why am I doing this? Where am I going with this? Yeah.
And what would be a preferred way of a mind flow, of a thought flow?
It'll be fine.
Laughing
It-
about it.
just-
Laughing about it.
It's like, oh, well, there's always a solution, you know. Just let it happen. Let like, oh, I'm just gonna go get a tire, you know, make some calls and someone's gonna come help me.
You call AAA, we'll be there in 45 minutes.
Yes.
What do you do in those 45 minutes?
You sing to your clients.
Huh?
Get them to start singing. Distract them. So they don't get upset.
But that kind of,
And
that's
then
kind
in the back of my mind, it's like, man, this client's gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna destroy the van, start hitting the window and things like that. You know, that's what would
Yeah,
happen. But
that's
then,
right.
when, you know, instead of just being calm, and it's gonna be okay.
it's a choice of perspective. It's literally up to you how you're gonna feel about it and how you're gonna see it. And there's another amazing thing. I'm sure you guys already experienced this in your life. If you are living in a suspense for those 45 minutes, okay, who's going to start breaking the windows? Somebody's going to start breaking the windows. But if you choose to spread the energy of like, hey guys, we have 45 minutes to chill and enjoy. Let's just relax a little bit, play some music, whatever. That spreads throughout the bus. I don't know if you experienced anything like that. But if you're positive, and especially you, actually, you have, no, okay, I'm calling you out because I know that. You have this power of empathy, of extending empathy. If you're in a good mood, I remember we go camping. If you're in a good mood, like we are all in a good mood, it's like, you're just like contagious. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. If you're in a bad mood, oh, we're all screwed. No, but seriously, like I remember that, like that's your that
situation.
huh?
We had like the good and the bad. Yeah. And then you can see how like it affects other people, and then
And that's your superpower, you know, because you can use it. You can literally use it on people around you. I bet you can use it on her. Does he make you, when he's in a good mood? Can you feel it?
Yeah.
When he's in a bad mood? But he drags you. I know he's like a tidal wave when it comes to that, you know. Now imagine if your mindset was set on the idea whatever happens today, it's for my greatest benefit. Imagine that attitude. And then a fire catches on in an office, and okay, you put out the fire, but you're like, okay, we're good, everything is okay, we're fine. Everybody around you would immediately calm down, I bet, because that's your superpower. But if you allow yourself to be managed by circumstances, it's like superpower uncontrolled. It's like Superman versus Homelander, kind of like that, you know. Okay, let's go. What time is it? Okay, we'll stay a little bit longer. Let's see the last one. I really need you to meditate on this, and I need you to leave with this thought. Everything we do in life, why do you do it? Why do you do everything you do today? Why are you going to do everything you're going to do next week? What's the final goal? What's the purpose?
For me, it's always been like I just want to live a good life.
Exactly. I invest now, so I'll have better tomorrow. I deal with things now, so I don't have to deal with those things anymore later on, and so on. Everything we do is for the purpose of. You might want to wait. You might want to wait a little bit. Everything we do, this is why we do it. Because we want peace. That's all we want in life. You know, we are constantly surrounded by drama. Okay, drama is not bad necessarily, depending on how you approach it. We are surrounded with problems. Problems are not bad as well. It all depends whether you use them or you let be tossed around by them. Again, but the whole idea is there is no positive and negative experiences, but all of them, like the whole overall life experience that we desire, is peace. At the end of the day, and the end of every single day, I want to sit down and say it is a good day. And one thing that I started doing is like I do that at the beginning of the day. Like I would start my day by saying, no, it is a good day. And anytime I do that, really days are good. But here's the thing, nothing is different in a day itself compared to yesterday, but my approach, my demeanor, my attitude towards this, and that makes all the difference that I need. Now, over here, this is the idea. The silence, how does it say, you keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. It doesn't specifically talk about silence, but it talks about attention. What your attention is on is going to shape how your perception of external elements are. Some good days at work, some bad days at work. But if your attention is on God's presence in it, just simple stuff. Thank you, God. It's so nice to have this quiet time, you know, or like, it's so nice that things didn't go that bad with this client as I thought they could be, or whatever. But what is your, and that's actually what we just, literally what we just talked about with Dickie about like a flat tire. What's your focus on? Is your focus on, okay, God, what are you bringing me right now? Or, how the hell do I get out of this situation? How much do you value peace? How much do you value peace in your life? A lot, meaning from 1 to 10. 10, that's really all I want. 1, I couldn't care less. How important is peace? 7? Okay.
I mean, that's a most important thing. You have peace, good.
That's the concept over here. The silence before the Lord comes as a result of after He starts doing all of these things for you. But your mind needs to be fixated vertically first in every aspect of your life. You do that, God starts doing things for you. Like you're trying to raise him to be a good man. Fixate your eyes on a vertical connection, asking God, you know, work with me on raising him. And you know what's he going to do? He's going to make it so easy. He's going to make it so amazing.
Hope, or yeah, I guess hope is the right word. Is like where the Bible says that the fruits of the Spirit are like peace, joy, love, gentleness. And that the reason why it gives me a lot of hope is because I know how I am, and I am sometimes a little too spicy, like too temperamental, aggressive. I'm not very gentle in my delivery sometimes. Like there's all these things, and I always like, I'm so this and I'm so that, and I'm like, how can I be more gentle? How can I be more joyous? How can I be, you know, if I'm I'm an overthinker like Dickie too, like, and I worry a lot. But lately I've been remembering, I'm like, oh, okay, I see myself in this light, but you're telling me that I can be kind, I can have peace, I can have joy because you give me like not dependent on like who I am. It's like who he is. And I think that's been kind of helping me a lot, because I'm just like, okay, you know, it's not dependent on me, because I almost kind of thought that like I had to completely change, like something was wrong with me or broken. But he showed me that I'm not, you know.
And none of us really are. Like you are, on a spiritual level, none of us are broken. We are broken in this horizontal world. All of us are screwed up in many ways. And vertically speaking, in our connection with God, there is a spirit of the Lord within you giving you life. The purest form of existence is right there within you. And that's why you can pray. That's why you know that God hears. That's why God can speak back, because your peace of God is in you. And nobody can take that away. Nobody can taint that. It's just a matter of what part of my existence do I focus on? Do I focus on traumatized, ill-taught Miloš with bad experiences in life, who is making bad choices subconsciously because his parents were this or that? Or do I look at myself when I stand before God as a child, his child, stripped from everything else? I am perfect in his eyes. I am beautiful in his eyes. And all of these, like temporary issues that I'm going through, he doesn't care. Like, we're going to sort this out. But if I focus on that, then I'm never going to be able to really accomplish this spiritual connection, because this is central my attention. Attention is the key of you achieving anything in life on a horizontal or vertical level. Do you want a better job? Usual story is put your attention to it. You know, work harder, do this, figure out, use your wits, but put your attention to it, you'll figure out a way. I'm telling you something else over here. You want a better job? Bring God into your workspace, and then put your attention on him and tell him, hey, I really want a good job. I really want a better job. This and this and this and this. Can you please make it happen? And then put your attention on his presence, and he's going to show you. I kid you not, he's going to show you. Doors are going to open. People are going to connect to you when you're the least expected. The opportunities will just show at your doorstep without you doing anything on it. Because your attention, your conscious attention, is on your God being present in your workspace. And he is loaded with ideas how to make it better. But you don't see it because you're focused on the workspace instead of him being in it. You know? So, practice your attention. Make it a deliberate plan to incorporate him in your office space. Make it a deliberate plan to remember that he's right there, and to remember what he used to do for you, and to remember what he's going to do for you now that your attention is on him. And then, woohoo, that was close. I really wanted to see you slide your butt down. Bottom line is, my friends, you're one step away from this peace. You might be already experiencing this peace. Let's put it this way. I'm sure that you've experienced peace with God, as you have. But this is the peace that awaits you. Perfect peace. This is the peace that he has filed and ready for you to pass it on. He's just waiting for your mind to stay on him. Not occasionally glance at him when going at stuff, but to stay on him. Oh, Lord. I needed this sermon. Let's have prayer. Let's pray. Dear Lord, dear Dad, you have been here all the time. And as I'm trying to teach this, I was so blind to it. And what you're taking all of us through right now is for our blessing, for our benefit, for our growth, for us becoming bigger and greater and closer to you and improving in every single aspect of our lives. So we thank you right now for being here. I can't speak for my friends here, but I can tell you for myself, I'm not moving my eyes off of you right now in what I'm going through. I know that you're with me. I know that you have it figured out, and I am going to patiently wait to see what kind of an amazing solution you have. And I ask you for your Spirit to enter my friends' lives deeply, thoroughly, go through every single bone of their body and every single light ray of their soul, and help them realize that this peace they dream of is at their fingertips. They just need to grab it. Amen.
You're teaching me with my imperfections, reaching me when I run the other direction. I'm undone.